Back to Vampyr, and yeah, the fucking piece of shit game just crashed on us. In the middle of the action this time. Last time it was triggered by some stuff, but this time it just crashed like this. Is the priest still dead? Yeah, he's still dead. Okay, so it had saved right before the crash, alright. But I did not get the goodies. I was just about to get the goodies from the dead bodies. So, thanks for nothing, motherfuckers.
Hello again. Hello, Camellia. How are you, partner? Come on, girl. Smile. Don't you know Dorothy and I have an agreement? We're on the same side. No? All right then, as you wish. Very well. Good evening, Mr.
And good evening to...
Have you recent news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
I don't know much about the woman.
I'll leave you...
Yes? What is it that you want?
I'm sorry to disturb you at such a late hour.
No worries, my son. I'm still quite awake, having just returned from a funeral.
Yes, I know. I've forgotten what I wanted. I don't know.
May I help you, child? You seem somewhat perturbed.
I haven't the strength to cross the threshold. I wish to pray, to cleanse my soul.
The church is shut by order of the bishop. But I'm still the vicar of St. Mary's, if that is any use to you, my son.
You seem to me a good soul, Vicar. But this is a personal matter.
There are no secrets from God, my son. If your heart needs comfort, consider me your chapel. For I can be as silent as stone.
I've words for one departed. They're not for living ears to hear.
Your eyes burn with rage, yet I see the pain that lies beyond. I am here to lighten the burden of all God's creatures. Whatever you tell me is between us and the Lord.
Very well, priest, as you seem quite adamant.
Open your heart, my son. Tell me what burdens you. With whom do you wish to speak?
She was my sister.
You seem so troubled by the loss of this girl. What happened to her?
It was an accident. A terrible, terrible accident.
I see. And how are you feeling, my son?
I feel responsible. The pain is consuming me.
I have a final question for you, my son. This is of the utmost importance.
Ask your question, Vicar.
What would you like her to know?
It was me.
I'm so sorry, Mary. I promise to find who is responsible for all this. I'll put an end to this horror.
You have been heard, my son, and your burden will lighten if your words are sincere. Go in peace now, and live your life in the way she would have wanted.
Whatever happened on this dock is between my sister and I. It does not concern God at all.
Good evening, Doctor.
Have you any news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
I'll never know what goes on in that place. But as long as people are getting better, I'll stop investigating her.
Goodbye, Mr.
Malevolence and trickery. You are blinded by your...
Good evening.
It's far...
Have you any friends? Any family left in these terrible times?
No. But I have a disciple I see as my son. He is so devoted. I send him to preach the good word in the heart of this corrupted city.
Where did you send him?
I sent Samuel to the Stonebridge Cemetery, where the pestilence and evil grows night after night.
You sent him on some preaching crusade during the epidemic.
As a true believer, Samuel will fear no evil while he walks through the valley of the shadow of death.
What do you mean when you say that I...
All scientists are entangled in a world...
Quite a...
Well, you...
I am. But the answers I seek are based on fact. Have you...
That woman is as depraved as Jezebel, and she deserves the same fate.
Really?
This woman runs no medical facility.
I have heard enough...
You again?
Have you...
She's doing good.
Goodbye.
Cheap fancy bar.
You never... Do you have...
I guess.
Right then. Good evening.
Change.
What?
That woman is a saint.
Goodbye.
It's nice, you just came from there, and then you get the mission to go back there. After that, you probably have to go back here. Ah, this shit. It's locked alright.
It's locked, all right.
And now I have to go all the way back. I have to go all the way forth again. It's annoying. Pretty annoying, yes.
Get them weapons ready! Right, Vermin! Oh my god!
Remorse and pain are precious when binding you to the earth. You. I remember you. Fear, be gone. I would harm no child of my making.
This is your doing. You made me this creature. What are you?
I am the land. You are our champion.
You selected me, chose me.
As shall my children yet to come.
What is it you seek?
This age is sickly. An ancient poison, an older rage, brewed in a cauldron newly forged.
This has something to do with the epidemic.
Seek truth, my champion. Defeat the serpent of knowing with iron spur.
I've had enough of others making decisions for me, pretending to know how I should feel or behave. So, the vampire who made me is some sort of disembodied entity? Or was he just projecting this vision in my mind? Maybe Edgar can help me with this one.
Good to finally be strong enough to kill those suckers. Please.
Carnage. Is Father Whitaker's disciple among the bodies, I wonder?
This man's far too old to be Samuel. No. By the look of his clothes, this man's a docker. Shouldn't you go back home, where you'll be safe?
Maybe later.
Samuel isn't here. I had better follow the blood trail.
See, I was just checking what to do with her. Seems like a bug.
Shouldn't you go?
Maybe later.
When one sleeps for night, she's moving, and then one can continue. First one, another vampire bug.
As I feared. Samuel no longer preaches the good word.
believe I'm doing this. It's locked.
Good evening, sir. It's me again.
Leave me alone, I say, whoever you are.
All right.
Against malevolence and trickery.
Good evening, Mr. Whitaker.
It's Father Whitaker, my son. So, are you still lost in your rational delusions?
Why did you send Samuel to the cemetery, Tobias? What did you see there?
I sent him on a vision. A dream of a dreadful and laughing queen covered with blood, sleeping with the dead and feeding on the fear of the dying.
A laughing queen dressed in blood. Tell me more.
This epidemic is her feast, the announcement of her return. Against her, science is no more than a child's toy.
But who is she?
She is the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth. She is Babylon, drunk on the blood of the saints.
The whore of Babylon.
Why did you send Samuel to the cemetery, Tobias?
I said...
You sent... Good evening.
It's far...
I have found Samuel, your disciple. I am afraid I have bad news.
I already expected the worst. He should already have come back. He is dead, isn't he?
Yes, he is now. The epidemic took him.
Samuel steadily made donations to our cause. He would have rewarded you himself if you'd found me in that awful cemetery. Please accept this money.
Why?
I sent...
This... But who...
She is...
Your disciple, Samuel, stole from the dead in Stonebridge Cemetery. I have proof of his crime, and proof of his death.
No! Samuel was the best of us. So devoted, so zealous. He gave all he had for the cause. He tirelessly preached the good word.
Your precious Samuel used you. He was an immoral crook.
If that's true, then he will be my burden to bear during this endless night.
He defiled the dead with his petty thefts. That's how he financed your misguided crusade.
Think what you will. When this city is saved, he will be praised for his devoted fortitude. He walked boldly into the mouth of abomination.
Tobias Whitaker, confess why you burnt those people alive.
I have done what no one was ready to do. I will smite the flesh of the unclean to protect the righteous.
You are just another heartless murderer. exploiting the epidemic to kill with impunity.
No! No. The only way to contain the spread is to strike at the source itself. The proliferating sick.
You're not the savior of London. You're just a glorified sadist.
I take no pleasure in this awful cleansing, Dr. Reed. I am only driven by the thousands of innocents I save each night.
Have you recent news?
That...
Really?
This woman...
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye. Good evening, Harry. May
Sure. Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
So,
I'm not bothered.
have you...
I don't believe in miracles.
Goodbye, young...
Even my dreams are soaked with gloom.
This is despicable. I can't believe I'm doing this. I have this thirst for blood.
Swallow cordial will be the answer to all your problems. As long as you have the money. Good evening.
Have you...
I can't believe that people and I...
Goodbye. Good evening, Ben.
I'm afraid...
Have you...
I visited her dispense.
A gun, alcohol.
Not me.
How are you?
I'm not your boy.
Have you...
Nurse Crane? Yeah.
Goodbye.
can't believe I'm doing this. This is despicable.
Over there! There's one of them vermin! Over there! There's one of them vermin!
Of course enemies spawn everywhere again. I was waiting for respawning. It would have been too quiet. Nice quiet without this.
Good evening, Nurse Brennan.
Good evening, Doc.
What can you tell me about the recent events in the hospital?
That Mr. Hampton killed Miss Jones in her room, then ran away.
And did you see all this?
No. I was working by the tents when it all happened. I only entered the room when they asked me to clean up the blood.
Where is Miss Jones's body?
I don't know. I'd imagine the morgue. It all happened so quickly.
Did you see Sean Hampton leave the hospital?
I think I saw a silhouette exiting the hospital gates after the shouting started. At first I thought it was someone who was just scared, but... well, maybe it was him.
Goodbye.
Jonathan, my sincere condolences for your loss.
Your kindness is much appreciated, my lady.
Is there anything you require?
Are we condemned to attend the funerals of all we love?
Dying is the final act of life, Jonathan. Present company excluded. Accepted.
As a practitioner of the medical sciences, I'm prepared for the death of loved ones. But mourning in the shadows, deprived of sharing one's grief.
We are no longer a part of the circle of life and death. We are undead, my friend, and so we are outcasts.
I don't know what to expect. Am I cursed to an eternity of solitude?
With time, we Ekon tend to go into isolation. If we survive long enough, that is.
I spied my mother at the funeral. Have you ever revealed yourself to a member of your family?
No, Jonathan. And I'd advise you even from thinking about it.
But what if I was close to someone and wished to tell them the truth?
Fear, loathing, disgust. And then they will plead to be turned. They will see it as salvation. Then there's the risk of gaining the attention of vampire hunters.
Are we then condemned to lie to those we love?
We are creatures of deception, my friend. But this is more for their sake than ours.
Goodbye. Good evening.
Dr.
Goodbye. Good evening.
Good evening.
Goodbye.
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCallum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the god.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned. By the sacred stole, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
Jonathan, please. I can't rely on anyone else. And this concerns you as it involves vampires. Someone has taken advantage of our more liberal tendencies here.
In what way?
Jonathan, I may turn my head when you or her ladyship indulge, but I will not allow this place to become a nest for street feeders.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Rest assured, I will protect you and your staff.
McCallum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this. If you don't mind, I have a few questions.
I'd be delighted to help you if I'm able.
I just recently met the strangest creature in Whitechapel. He was immense. He mocked me and accused me of hypocrisy.
Perhaps it was a skull. London's streets are overflowing with them these days.
It was a vampire, all right. But what kind, I'm not sure. He was large and very fast.
If you find anything more about this creature, the Brotherhood would greatly appreciate any information you could spare.
He was observing me with the obvious intent to do me harm. His very presence evoked a palpable sense of menace.
You need to be careful, Jonathan. You've no idea what this creature really is.
I recently tried to enter a church. It has been a very unpleasant experience.
The Brotherhood's research on the matter of faith and vampirism has proved somewhat insubstantial, to say the least.
Is this proof that I'm cursed in the eyes of the divine?
The wrath of the Almighty? There's no way of knowing. It could be subconscious guilt, or irrational fear, or deep-seated beliefs.
It's hard to explain in terms of science, that's for sure.
I'm sure Lady Ashbury will have far greater insight into this matter than little old me.
Who was that man in your office?
Geoffrey McCullum, actual leader of the Guard of Priwen. I suspect he's the man behind the rebirth of this old and dusty society.
They know I'm here now, don't they?
I understand your need for blood, and will not get in your way. But if you could refrain from feeding within these walls, it would go a long way to defending your case.
What do they hope to achieve?
Their ultimate goal is the eradication of all vampires in the country. They see you as a threat to mankind, Jonathan.
What exactly happened here while I was absent?
Hampton turned, quite violently as it happened. Lurking about, attacked Miss Jones. To say he created quite a commotion would be an understatement.
Are you sure it was Hampton that killed Miss Jones?
There was blood everywhere, but no body. And you know the state she was in. I fear for what he did with her. Hopefully he just hid the corpse.
How did the Guard of Priwen come to hear of this?
McCullum has spies everywhere. He will jump at any opportunity to disparage the Brotherhood and show his contempt.
Thank you, Edgar.
Probably it was a setup. Kind of Priven did this and they made it look like it was this guy. Since they don't have any evidence or clues about it.
Sean Hampton lives and breathes for the well-being of his flock. There's no other place he would go but the docks.
Yeah, but I'm going to the docks. I'm not sure if I'm on it tomorrow, maybe tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So maybe until then.